also say when I rewatched the original one, I was like, wow, they don't really have a ton of chemistry. Like
him and Goose had a lot more chemistry than he did.
Him and Goose had the best chemistry.
And Val Kilmer.
Him and Iceman. Yeah.
Yo, man. Yeah. After that volleyball game, they couldn't wait to hit the showers. That's all I know.
Let's hit the showers, boys.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris, and we're here to talk about entertainment, culture, and whatever the hell we feel like. And with me today, I have my wonderful co-host. Today, repping Warriors fandom, it's James. How you doing, James?
Repping Warriors fandom, but I'm going against the Celtics. I'm going with the Celtics. Surprise, surprise. I guarantee. 7 games, Celtics will win the championship.
Wow. To counter that, we have Celtics fandom here, and that's Brooks. How you doing, Brooks?
What?
She's diehard Lakers.
I can't even respond to that. The only thing I can say is like Lake Show. I don't even know how to respond to that. Fuck the Celtics.
There you go. That works.
Okay.
All right, and last but not least, repping the Rangers, we got Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Go Blue. Yep, excited the Rangers are making the Eastern Conference Finals. Looking forward to that. I don't think they're going to make it past that, but...
I think they'll beat the Celtics. I don't think the Celtics are very good on skating.
What? What's wrong with this guy?
That's right. We are playing, what was it, double-sided football? Offense and defense at the same time. All right, that joke will make more sense when we are talking about Top Gun Maverick.
That's what it is.
Yeah, basketball on ice.
Hey,
with a puck instead of a ball.
In 9th grade, when I was on the wrestling team, we would set up all the wrestling mats in the gym and play full contact basketball. That was fun.
What?
It hurt. Yeah, full contact basketball.
Why?
Talk about a workout.
You do that? No, it's not a workout.
Because you're a wrestling team.
That's not a.
That is a workout.
Would never be allowed.
That's torture.
So especially the torture when you're in the lightest weight class on the team compared to everybody else.
That's just a reason to beat each other up. That's not even teaching you wrestling fundamentals.
That's called wrestling, man. That's all you do. All right. So speaking of sporting events, James and Brooks wanted to talk a little bit about the actual NBA Finals.
We did.
After
we miss
the
Keith here. Yeah, we miss him.
Yeah, we do. After the Celtics beat the Heat in 7 to join the Warriors in the 2022 NBA Finals. The actual finals, not what I've been calling the finals.
I mean, they were the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay,
so I was right. Why is everybody making fun of me?
It's fun to make fun of you.
It is. We wanted to hijack a couple minutes of our podcast time to talk about the NBA Finals. Golden State Warriors versus the Boston Celtics. Boston had a pretty tumultuous run through the Eastern Conference just to get here, which I respect. However, the Warriors, I think, probably faced a litany of challenges that they're peaking at the right time. I can't say Boston's peaking at the right time. Boston's got injuries. Boston has a lot of issues that's happening with the team. And they barely got out of the Game 7 against Miami Heat, which was the number 1 seed. Whereas Warriors made light work of the Dallas Mavericks and a freaking MVP candidate, Luka Doncic. So, again,
the Mavericks. Speaking of the Mavericks.
Mavericks. This is probably one of the best finals in a while because it's going to showcase offensive style versus gritty defense. But my lock of the week will be Boston Celtics win in 7 games. Lock it. Guarantee.
Damn. All right, Brooks.
Well, I would just like to say that I feel like the refs have really made too much of an impact throughout this entire playoffs, pretty much all of the series. um, Especially in game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. That I felt like was so ridiculous. There were just so many calls. It was like ticky tack fouls. There was, who was it? Was it Jimmy Butler that had the one there said it? He stepped out of line or out of bounds, so they called it, but he really didn't step out
Oh
of
no, that wasn't
bounds.
him. It
And
was
like,
Strauss. Strauss. Yeah. We hit a
yeah,
three, but they took it back. Yeah.
yeah. So I miss the days of like, especially in the playoffs, just like letting people play, like let the game play, let the game decide itself. I mean, obviously, people can't like punch each other in the face or anything, but it's like just let the game play out. And I think the refs are
Also
like,
missed those days too. Like I had.
All right,
they
no,
what?
no, no. Ron Artest
When
here.
they used to punch each other in the face, I missed
No
those days
Right.
too.
meta world peace.
Meta world peace. I mean, listen, they did used to punch each other in the face back in the day. So like I get it, right? But I feel like we've gone all the way to the other end where the refs are just deciding games at this point. And like I feel like every other call we have to stop, we have to like watch the film. It's
Yes.
just like it's like ruining the speed of the game for me. And I feel like it's turning a lot of people off to watching the sport. Although I will say, like this, I felt like these playoffs in general were pretty good. But it was weird because Chris, you called this out multiple times. Like there were so many blowouts. It was like one game was a blowout for one team, then the very next game was a blowout for the other team, and it was like,
It was the weirdest thing to go to the scoreboard and see like a 20-point lead in the second quarter, and I was like, "What the hell is happening?" And it was just
yeah,
like back and forth, especially with the Eastern Conference. But a few times, even the Golden State Warriors getting blown out there by the Jawless.
They lost by
Yeah,
almost by. They were losing by 50 before they made it
yeah,
like a
it
yeah.
was it was
respectable
It was
freaking
a
25-point
gentleman's sweep.
blowout.
So it was kind of
Gentlemen's
weird.
sweep.
All right, so let me ask you this question before we get going: is the Celtics the team that is most capable outside of, yes, of course they won, they had to beat the other teams, but like matchup to matchup, are they the best team for the East to send against the Warriors? Because they are so defense oriented, but at times can run the 3-point shooting game. They're not as consistent as the
Great
Warriors, but
question, Chris.
That is a good question.
I'm gonna start first, Brooks, if you don't mind. I'm
no.
gonna
Yep.
say I think not. I think a Milwaukee Bucks team with Giannis and if Middleton was healthy would have been the better squad. Even without Middleton, I think the Giannis factor that the Warriors have not faced. They had Jokic, but Jokic is nowhere near as athletically gifted as
He's
Giannis.
also not as physically dominating. Like the LeBron
Like
days when they
Draymond,
when
Draymond was punishing Jokic,
mhm.
like to the point where I felt bad for him. Like I felt really bad for him. Even Luca, like you see Luca, though he looked like Kylo Ren at one point with that huge gash in his face in Game 5. Giannis would have destroyed the Warriors. Kaminga, Looney, Draymond. That would have been an interesting challenge for the Warriors. I do give respect to the Celtics, though. The reason why I think they're going to win is I think their team defense is better than the Bucks' defense, but although they don't have the Giannis factor that can counter a Curry or Klay Thompson getting hot, I think that and they've made some really terrible late game decisions too. I don't know if that's coaching or just the team being inexperienced. So whereas the Warriors, their biggest kryptonite is turnovers. Even when they were winning with Kevin Durant, they would still be a little loosey goosey with the ball, a little too and one mixtape ish. You know, Curry passing the ball to the crowd instead of Draymond hitting another player in the head with the ball. That's been the biggest kryptonite. But when the score is tied, if the score is tied, I would put money on the Warriors to come out with the win when it's tied. But I don't think it's going to get tied. I think the Celtics will handle business in 7 games.
All right, Brooks. What do you say? is their defense, team defense, and energy. Because what I saw out of Milwaukee was they got gassed, especially
Mhm.
Giannis, against the heavy, fast-moving team defense. And
Yeah.
they closed it out 7 games. It was a tight series, so they both have their strengths. But I was just thinking that team and more higher energy, bigger movement from the Celtics was a little bit more a better combat for the Warrior style.
I mean, I really think as far as the Bucks were concerned, I think it came down to Chris Middleton. Like I just think Giannis needed someone else to pick up the slack, and like you could see that at the end he couldn't do it all. You know what I mean? He just couldn't. Everybody needs their Scottie Pippen, and he just didn't have a Scottie Pippen. He didn't have that like clear defined number two guy that you can count on when you're getting tired, or you can count on to like pick up the slack. He just didn't have it, and he needed it. And I really think that if Chris Middleton was healthy, that they would have beat the Celtics because
Dame, he needs Dame. Let him go,
no,
Portland.
Dame needs to go to
Dame.
the Lakers.
No. We
But
want you guys have Westbrook, so you can keep
we'll
that.
trade Westbrook. You can take Westbrook. We'll
Westbrook.
take Dame. Um, I think this is going to be a great series. Honestly, I think there's something to be said for this. Like, even though it's Golden State, like there's something to be said for like California versus Boston. There's some rivalry there. Um, I think like Seth or not Seth, I think Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson are like just starting to get on fire. And I think they're going to be super exciting to watch. I really, really think they're going to be too much for the Celtics defense. I think the Celtics defense don't know what they're in for. And I predict the Warriors in 5.
Okay. Last question is the Celtics have a specific defense that takes out one person. They used it on KD, they used it on Giannis. Not so well on the Heat, but whatever. Do you think they'll try to be more specific to Steph and take him out and let Clay and
Dude,
everybody and the
if they
gang?
put Tatum on Curry in crunch time, Curry, you watch Curry's ball movement? The dude's constantly
Yeah,
moving.
yeah.
Tatum didn't have to worry about that with KD. Not at all. You're gonna exhaust Tatum. If that's the case, then I'm reversing my pick. If that's the game plan, then that's not gonna work, and I'm closer to what Brooks is saying. But I think Marcus Smart will take primary defensive role against Curry. And he doesn't need to score a lot of points. He just needs to chase Curry around, tire him out, put the body on him, make it a little more physical. Get him out of the offense as early as possible. As soon as he crosses the half court, Marcus Smart is going to be D'ing him up. That's the
It's
game
funny
plan. I think it's going to work.
because some of the
But they have
videos I
so
was
many
watching,
weapons.
some of the
That's
videos
true.
I was watching were they say the best work the best uh, team they saw against the Warriors is when they forced Steph to play defense on the ball handler and just push on him, uh, beat him up on while he's on defense.
Yeah.
So that slows him down, tires
He's
him
he's the
out.
weakest link in the deep. I mean, no offense to Steph, he's one of the
I mean, he's
greatest.
a smaller guy
But
comparatively
his
to everybody
defense has
else.
always been a little bit, iffy. His whole career. I mean, he's got a little
Yeah, but
better.
that's not his thing.
Yeah,
He
it's
doesn't
not
need
his
to play
thing.
defense,
You
really.
know, he's got four
Yeah,
other
but
horses behind him that could play great defense. So
but
Right.
it's not like he's been shooting like 60% or anything. He's been
he has it, and I think this is the stage where he is going to break that mold.
all right. Well, we'll see, everybody.
We will see.
We will see. That'll be exciting to watch.
Right,
All right,
Mike? You're going to see too, Mike?
Mike can't wait to
Mike.
watch.
Mike will see on the text chat. That's where he'll see it. All right. So speaking of
We are going to go to break,
champions,
and then
we are gonna go. We're gonna go to break, and then we will talk about the champion of the box office.
That was funny.
I was trying to go onto a.
what?
Mike
I
didn't
got where you
even
were
let
going.
you. Mike was even giving you a shot. He's I
We
don't know
got to
what
pay
tangent
bills,
he's about
man.
to
We
go
got to pay
on.
bills.
That's where I was going. All right.
Got to
We'll
get
be
hair
right back
and
in a
makeup.
second. All right. Welcome back, everybody. And here we are. We are about to do a review of Top Gun Maverick, the 2022 feature film starring one Tom Cruise, the GOAT of GOATs,
I
the
said
greatest
it.
of all time
Nah.
leading actors.
Goat
I
of
mean, come
action
on.
movie. Come on, man.
It just really just can't. I don't know. All right. So, this is a 2022 film. It is the sequel to the 1986 hit directed by Joseph Kosinski, starring one Tom Cruise, Jennifer Connelly, and a host of other wonderful actors. All right, so how we're going to talk about this today? We're going to talk about it as a sequel first. We're going to talk about it as an action movie. We're going to talk about it as a blockbuster because it's definitely one of those. And we're going to talk about it in lieu of history of other these legacy sequels that are so popular and very hit or miss. That's for sure.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knocked our shit off.
All right, and what I mean by we're going to start with talking about it as a sequel. So there's a lot of the drama in this movie comes out of the legacy of Tom Cruise's character Pete Mitchell. Of he's getting older, how he has to feel useful again, how he has to accept the events of the past, the death of his friend Goose, his son growing up, how he kind of blocked his son, the Rooster, played by Miles Teller, his path a little bit, and now he's coming Rooster is coming back to him without him ever wanting him to into this very dangerous spoilers everybody into the very dangerous mission that they're being set out to do, and also the drama of him having to settle down, and a lot of the drama of him and Jennifer Connelly's character has comes out of the idea that they once were together and he broke her heart, and but she's got this older daughter who basically puts it to him like, you're not doing that again. You got to pick one. Like, go for it or go away. So there's a lot of the drama comes out of this where otherwise other films would put nostalgia. I think this really puts drama in those places. So I'm gonna
You
go
hear
around
that,
the horn
Ghostbusters
here.
Afterlife?
I love Ghostbusters Afterlife, but that was different. That was a a movie that moved forward. It didn't spend, even though it was a legacy, it used new characters, new plot, new location to make this happen. It's a new story, but it's a lot of old continuations, which I don't think is a bad thing. It worked in this movie. So I'm just going to go around the horn and let everybody talk about the drama aspects, especially the legacy aspects, the character, the heart of the movie. I'm gonna let the one in the
Queen of the Pod?
glasses. I'm just laughing at the glasses. Brooksy, I'm gonna let you go first. What
I
did
mean,
you
I
think?
couldn't not wear my aviators, right?
No, no,
So
you look great.
That is dope. I give you that.
Yeah,
thank you.
perfect.
Mm-mm.
So, what did you think
Um,
of that?
so first off, I want to start by saying that Top Gun is one of my all-time favorite movies, the original Top Gun. I have a Top Gun quote in my yearbook. Um, my one of my best friends from high school and I always quoted Top Gun. I had a boyfriend in high school, and we used to listen to the soundtrack together all the time. Like, this is a very nostalgic movie for me, and it it always kind of takes me back to high school. I mean, let me just rephrase and say I was not in high school in the 80s. I was in high school in the 90s. I'm not that old. But um right. Right. It just was like, it's just such a I just feel like this is such a like a big movie in my life. So when I found out they were making a sequel, I was positive it was going to be the worst sequel ever made. Like, there was no way it was going to be good. But I just was like, I have to see it anyways. Um, so I just want to start by saying, like, that's how important Top Gun was to me. I will say that I I actually kind of liked where he was in his life in this movie. Like, I felt like if he would have been this like super successful Top Gun guy, I don't know, that just would have been like too obvious or too corny or whatever. You know what I mean? It just felt like really fitting and in like some ways like really relatable. You know, he's like sort of questioning like where he is in his life and kind of what the next steps are. And just like I don't know, like, you know, because at the end of Top Gun, you kind of see him and he's like, I'm going to be a Top Gun instructor, and um, everybody's cheering for him, and so you assume that the next step is like just him being this like super successful guy, and so I just really like where they started the movie. It's like he's not, you know, that's not where we're
He
at.
washed out. He washed out. He's like, I was there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was like
Right?
10 days
Yeah,
or
that's what he
something.
said.
He was like, "Nope,
I know.
not for me."
And I like how they never even brought back Kelly McGinnis's
I
character.
know.
Well,
I'm just managing expectations.
the other thing that I want to say about this is my boyfriend had never seen the original Top Gun, which was like wild to me. I know. Mookie cannot believe it. Was like wild to me just because of like how obsessed I was with this movie, right? So I couldn't believe that he'd never seen it. So I was like, all right, well, we got to watch the original before you can see the movie. So we watched the original, and even though I've seen this movie hundreds of times, it took on like new context, knowing that we were going to watch the sequel. Also, we only got through half of the first half of the movie and then saw the sequel and then went back and watched the second half of the movie. Right. So, which was actually in retrospect, a really good way to watch it because we picked up on a lot of Easter eggs that I don't think we would have had we have not like immediately after watched the second half of the movie. But it's like I forgot how dramatic the first Top Gun was. It was very dramatic, and so I felt like the sequel was like right on brand. It was like perfectly set up with all of the drama in every way. You know what I mean? The relationship with the female, the like, are we gonna die, this mission, like all of that stuff. It was like exactly the same storyline as the first one, but told, you know, so differently that I don't know. I thought it was like the perfect kind of transition into the sequel.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm gonna go to Mike next, but first, a note. I think we should get shots, little video clips of Mookie doing all of his things, and make Mookie reaction vids that we can pop in the middle when things are surprising.
Yeah. When I
I
say
could definitely do
Celtics and
that.
7, I hear the
This
Mookie.
would be Mookie.
I can get you that. Don't worry.
All right, Mike. Speaking of the movie,
Yeah, so I'm with Brooksy there on the expectations of this sequel. Like most people were probably like, "Oh man, it's been so long. What kind of story they're gonna do? You know, is it gonna be any good?" But it did live up to expectations. Oh well, it exceeded expectations. Sorry, let me reword that. And was definitely there. It brought the drama. It brought the story. I'm gonna disagree with Brooksy a little bit on the original. The mission was not. The mission was like a secondary piece of the story. Like the main story was the school. In this one, everyone's already graduated Top Gun, but they're here to prep for the mission. The mission is like the main what they're going after, right? So it's a little different
mhm.
there, and that worked. I didn't want a rehash of, like you were saying, if Tom Cruise was still teaching, and we
You
had
didn't
just have
want
a bunch.
Saved by the Bell Miramar edition?
Yeah, exactly, and now we're just dealing with a bunch of rookies, or rookies to Top Gun anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
the story worked for
Which
me. I liked we had a washed out crew still dealing with issues, still dealing with the loss of Goose and issues with Rooster. All that worked for me. The whole stuff with Iceman was fantastic. Props to Val Kilmer. So, man, I could go on and on, but
surprisingly.
yeah,
Mhm.
I could go on and on, but I'm just gonna say, yeah, great job there. So,
All right, James, your turn.
So you posed a question about the legacy and drama. starting with the legacy. We would not have Heroes Peak if not for the first movie. That is the movie that got me on the Silver Patrol path, that got me into meeting Mike, Keith,
Yep.
you, Chris,
Hmm.
that got me in RTC to go to Syracuse where I met Brooks. So there would be no Heroes Peak without the first movie.
This is
I look
true.
forward to this movie and with some trepidation because again, we've seen a lot of these. I've mentioned Sylvester Stallone, but a lot of these older actors who are well established are trying to bring back old IPs for like one last nostalgia hit. So I was a
Indiana
little
Jones.
bit Indiana Harrison Ford. Oh my God, Star Wars Celebration. He came out again. Um, so I had a little bit of fear, and then when that first trailer hit, I was like, okay, this looks like it's actually got some bite to the movie. Like it's not just a callback to everything from 1986. Then I went into the movie, and I started hearing early reviews. We all were hearing early reviews about this stuff
We
from
were
all
shocked.
different, like
Shocked.
how great it was, and it wasn't just like the young or the older crowd. It was like a mixture of folks.
Yeah,
So
I
I
was a
was
little worried at
pleasantly
first.
surprised.
I was a little worried at first. Sorry to interrupt, just quickly, because sometimes when you get all the haters, they review early and they trash a movie, but they haven't
Yeah,
even
they Rotten
seen it
Tomatoes
yet.
bomb it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but here I thought we were getting the opposite of all these fanboys who are just like, "This movie's the best movie ever. I haven't seen it yet, but it's awesome!" Right? So I was
Some
a
of the
little
folks
worried.
they're giving positive reviews. I haven't seen a positive review from in the movies in like years. And I'm
Yeah,
like, he never gives anything above a B. What the hell's happening here? Is he a
Mm.
shill? Is he getting paid by Paramount
exactly.
Pictures? And it wound up being the best movie I've seen this year. So as far as legacy, this movie meant a lot to me. Like Brooks, like all of you guys, it means a lot to me. And the drama portion of this movie, I thought it's actually a better movie than the original because the original was an ode to everything that was 1980s. It was like
Yeah,
the so I think this movie, to me, when I went in, I was expecting something like 1986, but like modern technology, and I got an actual good movie. I got a movie where Tom Cruise seems like he still has a need for speed. He's more like the modern day Chuck Yeager, where he's doing the experimental flight stuff. Because he still wants to get that thrill of the G force and everything, but he also understands that his career is over. Like he's at the last legs of his career. He's more like Al Horford in the Celtics right now. One last hurrah, NBA Finals. Um, so I actually really did enjoy the story that was put together for this movie, and it's man, dude, I'm not kidding when I said this movie was the best movie I've seen this year, and Tom Cruise is among GOAT status now for action actors.
I was so excited about this movie, man. I was through the moon, and I was like, why? If this is bad, this is gonna like be the worst letdown I think I've ever had from just a piece of entertainment. And then we started seeing those great um reviews come in, and whoo boy, I was like, is this good? Could this possibly be good? So we went on a double date. Hadn't been on a double date in forever. My wife's best friend is a huge Top Gun fan as well. So we went on a double date. Her husband and her, me and my wife, and I was just like blown away by the whole thing. When it opens up and it's got the same opening and the sunset and the jets coming off the aircraft carrier, I was like, I could like breathe in the salt water. It was so good. I like all that nostalgia just like rush into your veins. Anyway, what made it good was that you could feel like this is probably one of Tom Cruise's best performances in years. And he's been doing good action movies. Like but this he let his this character feel and be do the whole thing when Goose walks into the when he sees Rooster walk into the bar and he's got the Hawaiian shirt and he's got the Goose mustache, Miles Teller, man, just embodying uh, Anthony Edwards like I would not have expected. And then a note, guys, I'd never hear soundtracks. I've told you this before. It's not really important to me. Like visual, audibly, it doesn't really connect, but I noticed they didn't try to update the soundtrack. There wasn't a rap beat. There wasn't, or they didn't try to overwhelm you with 80s classics. They kept that all undertoned. They even let Miles Teller sing Great Balls of Fire. Like that shit's now what, 70 years old or something like that. So the fact that they let that nostalgia hit the character, hit Pete Mitchell watching through the window after he got tossed out of the bar, seeing his friend having the flashback with his kid sitting on the piano playing, when Rooster was sitting there with him. And so like you saw that, and they have the shot of Jennifer Connelly seeing him out the window, and then like the Iceman thing, which I was worried. I was like, I don't know how they're gonna do this. Are they gonna be respectful with it? Is it gonna work well? And that scene was great, very heartfelt. So the whole thing, I just top to bottom, and just letting Tom Cruise's character be, well, his personality, the thing that won him Top Gun, well, it doesn't quite work day to day in your life. It kind of screws him up every time he goes to get somewhere. That drama and that character drama really felt consistent throughout, and it worked really well. And I thought, surprisingly, and you don't normally get this out of Tom Cruise, I thought him and Jennifer Connelly, the characters, really felt a good, decent chemistry together. Like we've had a lot of leading men recently in these movies that don't feel like they have great chemistry.
Mm.
And this, I mean, this isn't like all time love interests kind of thing, but it was solid. And I think a lot of that comes from Jennifer Connelly's character.
Oh yeah, she was
She was
doing the
doing
most of
great
the
I
on it.
agree.
lifting. Sorry, Tom Cruise, you're still not
Yeah,
believable.
She was.
she's great. She's great, and I like that
Yeah,
they kept it kind of to a minimum, right?
Hmm.
Like that
Oh,
whole
the boat scene! I love the
yeah.
boat
I didn't need
scene. It was great.
the take my breath away scene. I didn't need one of
No,
those again. That they did right,
well,
but not giving us another version of that.
right. Yeah,
well,
exactly.
it it's great because they're 50, 60-year-old people. She's got an older teenager. Like that's not your get together. Now you're just like, hey, that's a cool sweater. Let's go on a boat. Like so,
That's the new
yeah,
pickup line.
yeah.
I mean, I will also say when I rewatched the original one, I was like, wow, they don't really have a ton of chemistry. Like it
Now him and
wasn't.
Goose had a lot more chemistry than he did
Him
with
and Goose had the best chemistry.
Mm-hmm. And Val
him and I
Kilmer.
and him and Iceman. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yo, man. Yeah. After that
It,
volleyball game, they couldn't wait to hit the showers. That's all I know.
Let's hit the showers, boys.
movie. All right,
I agree.
this was an action movie. This was a good action movie. So we're gonna talk about the action. What was interesting about this? There was one or two scenes where Rooster got in someone's face, but the big action scenes were all in the jets. And I think part of what made this special was the way they shot these scenes. And I listened to a interview with Joseph Krasinski, the director, that he had seen.
Shout out to Tony
Uh,
Scott, by the way. I know we didn't really
Yeah,
give him
rest.
any shout
oh,
outs
the
from the original. He passed
director
away.
from the original.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joe Kaczynski took over,
Mhm.
who of Tron Legacy fame. I think that's
Yes.
his
Yeah,
biggest hit.
Tron Legacy of all things.
And
So yeah,
Oblivion with Tom Cruise as well. So they've worked together before.
they have. But
Hmm.
go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
And what he said is he saw live on YouTube Navy pilots using a GoPro to kind of just show off what they do and all the stuff they do. And he
Okay.
said, "You can't beat this. This is out there. This is for real. This is live. You can't just shoot this in a studio and do any better than this." So he's like, and once Tom Cruise saw that, apparently he was like, yeah, that's awesome. Like I want to get in a jet and I want to, and that P-51. I'm not sure. I think it was a P-51
P-51
that he flies
Mustang
at
at
the
the end
end.
of the movie.
He actually flies. That's his
That's
actual plane.
his.
He
Yeah,
actually
he's got a
flies
pilot's
that.
license. That's his actual plane.
You guys,
And
I've flown
as
in a P-51 Mustang before.
You have? Shit, I
nice,
haven't.
Mm-hmm.
nice,
It's
and
one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life.
oh, I'm sure that sounds awesome.
I
Oh
flew
man,
in
I'm
an
jealous.
F-15. I flew in an F-15.
I flew a simulator like that. Doesn't I flew an H1 on the side seat with the gunners on the gunner seat. That
I
was
played
cool.
Top Gun for the Super Nintendo. Remember that one?
I do remember
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
I do.
So anyway, they put these actors in real jets, and they had to set up their own cameras. They had to film themselves, even if they were throwing up. They had to get their own shots, and
Yeah.
that realness made all the difference in how this action felt. From the outside of the shots of the jets doing their cool thing, when you got the inside shot of real G forces and real acting at the same time as like feeling those feelings made all the difference. Let's go back around the other way. James, what did you think of the action in this movie?
Perfect timing. I thought one of my favorite moments was when he was doing the Death Star Trench Canyon run to show the rest of the students that he could do it under 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And like you said, that was him actually flying the jet. He actually had a pilot with him, but he was in the cockpit and all of the sways and the turns, and this is stuff that he had to do so he can get the right camera angle. In fact, there's stuff like he was purposely turning one direction so the camera could see the full view in the backdrop and not get too much sun. Like he put in thought and creativity on just this one scene that lasted 3 minutes tops. So you could feel like you're really in the cockpit with him. That's just freaking beyond level of passion. That was my favorite action moment of the movie. And obviously, when he pulled out the F-14 near the end, he did the wing swept thing. And Miles Teller Brewster was like, "What is that? Like, where the wings are at? This is like 1980s technology. What the hell is wing swept?" And then the whole last battle with the flares and everything about it against the two F-30
Series 5 or
F-35s,
whatever,
fifth generation, yeah, fifth generation, which somehow we don't have. Like
So
that was, I mean,
I kind of like that they didn't name a specific country or a specific enemy plane.
it was Ukraine. You know exactly where it was. I joke.
Yeah.
I just, I
Yeah.
just.
Damn
No, I think
Nazis.
a lot of the audience would have gotten caught up, and a lot of the discussion would have gotten
Right.
caught up in that
He's
in
like,
that
why are
political
we
Right.
commentary.
But
policing
it could have
international
been
waters and
anywhere. It could
stuff?
have been North Korea. It could have been somewhere in the Middle East. More
I,
mountainous
I'm
area, but or Eastern
I'm
Europe,
saying
right?
it
So
was northern Arizona is my guess.
there you go.
There you go. All right, that's my take, Chris.
All
Yeah.
right,
So
Mike.
I'm just gonna add to that. Yeah, action scenes were fantastic. Um, Props to the pilots up in the air who were pulling off some of these maneuvers for them to film. One scene in particular, like Tom Cruise and I, like when Goose and sorry Rooster and Maverick were escaping in the F-14, and they were trying to take out that last fighter, and they fired the missile, and that plane did some kind of
Oh, it did the yes.
And Tom Cruise
It
and
was
I
it was
both said, "What the fuck?" at the same time. I
Yeah,
don't
that's the
know
first time they
how.
said a curse in the movie. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
it,
and
it's funny because that's kind of similar to his move in the first
yeah,
movie, and he
when
does it in this movie where
He's
he
like, I'm
kind
gonna
of
make it
goes,
break hard right. Yeah,
right.
and then he goes up.
but
Mhm.
it's almost even
That was a
like
nod to that scene. I felt
yeah,
like.
but even he's like, no one else does that shit. What the hell?
Yeah,
Well,
but that was
great selection, Mike. Great
some
selection.
great maneuvering and some fantastic action work in this movie. So
All right, Brooks.
Yeah, I do. Like I just said, I felt like there was a lot of like um, in the action scenes, there was a lot of like nod to the original movie. You know, subtle kind of nods of like scenes that they did or tricks or maneuvers or whatever. You know, some not so subtle, obviously, some more subtle. But I love that they put that in there in a way that just made sense to the movie. It just, for me, like helped. One, it just made the movie better, but also like kind of carried the nostalgia through the sequel for those of us that loved the original so much. And like, I love that they did that. I thought it was super important. I loved how realistic, obviously it was realistic, the scenes were, and I just thought everything about it, they did it so right. My favorite scene was definitely when Maverick has to like prove, like kind of like James said, that he has to prove that he's like can come back and teach the kids. You know, originally he doesn't even want to teach them, and he's like, "Wait a minute, this is what I need to do," and then he proves that he can do it. And like I love that scene because he's
By the
like,
way, that's right
he's
after
like,
Val Kilmer's little speech. Like the Navy needs Maverick, these kids
yeah,
need Maverick.
right.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, and you know, it's just like the perfect thing that he would do, right? And like they just did it so right, and I don't know, I just like loved that scene. That was definitely my favorite.
He definitely knows all the flight crew because twice in this movie he takes off in a jet without any of the higher ups knowing.
Right, that's true. That was a little like, how do you do that? But you know,
Like he knows all the flight crew likes him. They're like, yeah, okay, just go ahead.
right.
Yeah, I'm just
So
going
for
for a
me,
ride. That's it. Yeah.
I have to say, what I loved is I never felt anyone was safe. I remembered in the trailer, and I hate remembering the trailers, but so you remember the trailer, and you're like, someone dies, and at multiple points they are like, oh, that person's dead. Wait, no, no, not that person. Nope, this person's dead. Wait, no, not that person. And you're like, all right, who's gonna die? Who's gonna die? Who's gonna die? And they they kind of held that over you, and you never felt like anybody was safe. Probably my favorite flight scene was that weird Cobra corkscrew double jet going towards the hard deck when he's trying to get into Rooster's head, and he's like Gooster, and he's like, I can do this as long as you can. He's like, you can only go so far here, but I thought that it looked amazing, and I don't know if jets were actually if that was CGI or some weirdo jet pilot actually can do that thing, but shit, that was awesome to watch.
Yeah.
And then when that go ahead,
No. Finish. I was
and
going to
then
add one more moment, but go ahead.
okay. I was just gonna say when that one kid went into the tailspin, and he's like, I'm gonna go get him. We're like, what does that mean?
You're right.
You're in a jet. And
That-
he's like, so he just gets the missile lock, which sets off the alarms inside the cabin. So
yeah.
I was like, oh, that kid's dead. Oh, she's dead. No, wait, no, that guy's dead. Oh shit, who's gonna die?
Yeah, that's
All
what
right.
I was gonna say when Coyote when he passed out from the G's, and I was like, oh man,
Coyote, yeah, he
yeah.
was the math nerd, navigation guy.
Hmm.
Always we need one of those.
I will say before we get off the action thing, the young talent here was great. I loved that they all felt like even though you didn't get story, you didn't worry about background story for all the different characters. It was only Miles Teller and Maverick really is the only persons you really found out much about. But all of the others felt like characters. They all had personality. They all interacted with each
I
other.
agree.
They
I
felt like they
agree.
had history. Not everybody, but enough of the
Well, Hangman,
crowd.
yeah, Hangman had a little bit more than the rest because he played the Val Kilmer role kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it Sphinx or Cobra or something like that? What was her
Who?
Phoenix?
Phoenix?
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phoenix was pretty good.
Hmm.
Bob was just like
I liked
great.
Bob.
I like Bob, yeah.
So it was cool the way the young talent got to at least showcase some personality if they didn't get a lot of screen time, and
And Chris,
that
before you get off the action part, the
yeah,
one
go ahead.
action part I didn't think should have even been part of the movie was the entire boat racing. When he's in a sail ship, Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly, and I'm like, okay, I get it. This is a Navy aviation movie. Do we really need to go full Navy here?
Yeah,
Why
but
are
that
we
was a
doing this
great
part?
line when he was like, "What is?" When she was like, "Turn the thing," and he's like, "What's that?" And she was like, "You're supposed to be in the Navy."
It's supposed to
Yeah.
be the Navy, yeah, but that took me away. That
Yeah.
was probably the
That was a little
the most
romance
boring part of
part.
the
I
movie.
feel like they was trying to like show their
Yeah, you
romance,
gotta
to
have the
show
mushy,
their
and
like
some of the
and
mushy
chemistry.
and
stuff.
it was
Yeah.
and it was giving her a lot of generally what was nice about that is Jennifer Connelly felt like she was running that. She wasn't getting swept off her feet. She was excited to have the dude back in town, but she
Hmm.
was like, I'm gonna run this relationship, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
like
I'm
she
glad
was
you guys saw it
definitely
that way. I just saw it as a filler, just to show Tom Cruise learning how to sail a ship. He's probably doing in real life now anyway. But
right. No,
Well,
I
that's
think that
yeah,
why
was
they
cool.
call
It
it acting.
it gave her it gave her character the part where she's like, she can teach him something as
Right.
opposed to the opposite.
All right, I'll give you guys that.
It's
All
a
right.
character development thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is actually interesting because, in a way, that was like the dynamic between Charlie and Maverick, right? She was the teacher.
He was an astrophysicist.
See what we need. So we're gonna bring it back to the Fast and Furious franchise right now. So we need Vin Diesel's girlfriend. What's her name, Brooksy, in the movie?
Michelle Rodriguez.
No, the character.
Um,
Letty.
Letty. Letty's got
Letty,
to teach
thank
him how to ride
you.
a motorcycle now for the last movie.
Oh my God, stop it. All right, we're off topic. Let's
All
go,
right. All
Chris.
right. So the last, how we're going to talk about this as a blockbuster. This is basically financial stuff. So this movie was held off for 2 years. This thing's been done for a long time. It was done about the same
Wow.
time. It was done about the same time as Tenet was, and they decided that
Chris Nolan
they were
said, "Fuck you, COVID."
so obsessed with bringing back the theater experience in the middle of the pandemic. They released Tenet and got wrecked. Like they did financial a big financial flop. Whereas this movie, oh my god, this is the highest grossing Tom Cruise opening, almost double of what he's ever opened before. 126 million for the 3 day, 160 million for the total Memorial Day weekend, which is the highest of all time Memorial Day weekends, beating out Pirates of the Caribbean, I believe.
Hmm.
For a total of $300 million worldwide. Cruise's fourth decade with $100 million
Fifth.
domestic. 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010. What
2010,
seven?
2020.
We are in 2020s, my friend.
80s, 90s.
80s,
Okay,
90s.
fifth. That's right. That's right. Fifth. Sorry, I keep thinking I'm younger than I am. And it's
Fucks
the
me up
number
every time,
2
too.
opening of the year. We don't know where it will end totally, but it is the number 2 opening of the year. It beat out Batman's opening.
What's the number one opening?
Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange, by quite a bit. So, what do you guys think of this thing as this big blockbuster release? Big Tom Cruise, this Tom Cruise's biggest release, just like in the real world side. What does this movie mean? James, I'm going to go to you.
It means now he has freedom to probably go back and take some of these other movies and release. You know, did he do Days of Thunder? Or was that still on? Forgetting.
Days of Thunder is
It
him.
was him. He did Days of Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, not doing
Yeah,
a sequel to that.
he can get a good writer and give us a Lewis Hamilton F1 Days of Thunder. Fuck, dude, race car
No.
driving sells, man. It's big
Yeah.
money out there, and you get Tom
Ford
Cruise
versus
back in the
Ferrari.
car.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that first
you
movie
get-
was not good.
I love Days of Thunder. I don't
True,
know.
it wasn't good.
It wasn't
But he
great,
can-
but it was fun to watch.
but
But
it's
he
not
shows
good.
you that he can work on it. So
Oh,
my
yeah.
take is that this gives him the green light to look at some other one of his passion projects and get a major, maybe it's not Paramount Pictures, another major studio behind him to put it together. Like this dude is 60 and he's
I know
still
Days
at
of Thunder
prime
in
of movie
space.
making.
But
He's got
he's already got
two Mission
MI
Impossible movies,
Yeah,
right?
and Edge of Tomorrow's sequel is filming now. So
Oh, that's
Greenlit.
going to be so good.
Dude, he's gonna be
Probably-
acting into his 70s and give us what Harrison Ford should have been able to give us, but he couldn't because of his health. That's
I
where
will
Tom
say
Cruise
this
is gonna
about
be.
Tom Cruise is like,
All right, Coach Brooks.
when I realized how old he was, like I was like, oh, it's not that he looks like young for his age, but he looks good for his age. And in this movie, I was like, okay, wow, like not that he was never the heartthrob to me. That was never like my thing for the movie. I know he was for a lot of people, but I thought that same thing.
Cocktails.
I was like, wow.
It was
Right,
more of
like
an
in
attitude
Cocktails.
thing. I don't think he ever had. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, but it always felt like he had a specific attitude to his characters that was fun and
Yeah.
inviting.
Yeah.
You know, the money. What's the color of money?
Color
Right.
Money.
You know, that kind of
What's the
thing.
one with when he's throwing a college party with
But
prostitutes?
I felt like he could, like
The
he
what?
still had it, and I was surprised by that.
Risky
I didn't
Business.
realize.
yes, Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
Risky.
Brooks. Sorry.
I felt like he still kind of had it, and I was like, "Oh, look at him! Like he definitely can keep it going."
He
You
has
know
that
what I mean?
infectious
Like,
smile. It's just
yeah,
on the
he really
screen.
does. I was really impressed. Um, and I will say, when I first heard the hype, I really thought this was like some Scientology hype or something. I don't know. I was like, maybe
Edit
they
that part
have.
out,
What?
Mike.
Fuck those
We don't
Scientology.
want them striking us. We do not want that as an enemy.
Um,
Fuck
I
them.
don't.
Bring
You
it.
know, I
Come,
really
come
did.
to my house. We'll see.
Oh my god. Anyway, go ahead,
Don't come to
Brooks.
mind.
Yeah, don't come in mind anymore.
Um,
Mike's
you
views
know,
do
I
not
really
represent
did.
yours. Go ahead. Sorry.
I thought it was like a little bit. For some reason, I thought I was like, oh, this something has to do with Scientology. I don't know why. I just thought that. And then the other thing I thought was really interesting is, I don't know if this was in everyone's movie, but in the opening of the movie, before the
Yes.
movie starts, after the previews, he sits there and he's like, "Hey, welcome back," and I like loved that so much for some reason, because I felt like I really connected to how important the movie was to him. You know what I mean? And
Well,
I like loved that he.
He,
I,
What?
I thought he was
I
going to
think he
tell
was
me
jealous because
eugenics for a second.
no, I think he was jealous because Nicole Kidman has been doing openings for some for AMC theaters for.
Yeah, and she like, that's interesting. And you know what else is, this is a side note, is like, my boyfriend was like, "Who is that fucking girl that keeps coming in the, like, who keeps doing this opening?" And I was like, "Nicole Kidman." And he's
Nicole
like,
fucking
"No
Kidman,
way,
man.
that's no good." Because he said she just looks so different with all the like Botox and fillers and stuff. And I'm
She
like,
hasn't had a big release in
He's an
years.
Aquaman,
yeah,
so
it's weird that
she's his
she is
Like
the
mom.
10
one,
for like 10 minutes. Like that's
but
Well,
then
I'm
not.
sure.
she wasn't like
Yeah.
starring in the movie.
That looked
Yeah.
weird too, by the way. Her playing his mom.
No,
But
she's been doing TV now,
yeah, she
like
does that
HBO
show.
shows.
Pretty
Yeah,
Little, not Pretty Little Liars. What's the
Big
show I
Little
watched? Big
Oh,
Lies.
Little.
it's on
Big
Hulu.
Little
Yeah, I
Lies.
watched that show. I watched the
Mhm.
first two
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I love that he personally came out to say
Mhm.
like, "Thank you. This means a lot to me." You know, I
Yeah,
felt
that
very
was cool.
connected to him when he
I
did
thought that
that.
was nice
I
too.
really
Yeah.
liked it. Yeah.
All right, Mike, what do you got to say?
I mean, as far as so, he ran into issues a few years ago. I mean, he's got issues with the whole Scientology thing. I'm not gonna go into that now because I could spend an hour trashing them. And he's not exactly been the best dad to his daughter and that whole thing. But like, I'm gonna separate the man from the acting. And he got in trouble after that. I think it was after that whole Oprah thing. Paramount kind of dropped him for a while, and they were talking about recasting for Mission Impossible. But he made his way back, and he's still doing great work. So I mean, I'm not gonna knock his work because it's good work. He's got a
It's
few.
probably improved actually. It's
Yeah,
probably
he's got a few
improved in the
Oscar
last couple of years.
noms. I love Jerry Maguire as one of my favorites. So
Born the 4th of July.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
he's a
so many to
goat.
choose from, right? So yeah,
Yeah, because
he's continuing to to
he's
work it.
done so much action. It's good to see him letting the character act.
Yeah,
I think that
yeah,
was a
we
good
haven't
thing.
seen that in a while. That's the Tom Cruise, that's there as well, right? That he's capable of doing. So
All right. So here's a last little big question. So this is one of many. I didn't realize how many of them there were until I started making the list. This legacy sequel, which in this case is a something that comes out at least a decade later, if not usually 20 or 30 years later. That's not a reboot of a series, but more of a actual sequel or continuation thereof. Um, and they've been hit or miss for the most part, mostly misses, and most of them don't make money even if they're good. So here's kind of a list I started to come up with. So Creed came out, was good, actually made money. Um, it's weird though because Sylvester Stallone's been kind of making those movies off and on for a very long time.
right,
Blade Runner 2049. I actually finally watched
Oof.
it. Dennis
Oof.
Villeneuve. I actually thought it was a good movie, not as great as some people think, but also like that world is not
I actually
very
haven't seen that
pleasant
one
to
yet.
be in. It's actually again, I kind of put it in the Northman style, like great
Don't tell Brooks
cinematography,
that.
a very very nice to look at.
Yeah.
Uh, Lana, not Lana Del Rey. Anna de Arms,
Right.
fantastic,
Fantastic actress.
fantastic.
Nice and nice
Yeah,
too.
she's in there. Anyway, Mad Max Fury Road, probably the best action movie in the last. This probably came out a decade
One of the
more than
best.
that.
Yeah, one of the best.
But then you have things like Doctor Sleep, Dumb and Dumberer,
Nope.
uh, Independence Day 4-2.
Nope.
I forget that one. I almost forgot that even came out. Like
Basura.
that was terrible.
Mm.
Indiana Jones 4,
Basura.
Scream 5, uh, the new Friday the 13th
Nope.
that just came out. Uh, how long? How far was Terminator 2 from Terminator? That was like 20 years, right?
No,
No,
dude, that
that
was
was like 10
'84 to
years.
'91. That was
Less than
like
10
7
years, yeah.
years. Yeah.
I thought for some reason I keep thinking Terminator came out in 70,
No,
78. All right.
that was 84.
He
84.
said '70s.
Wow.
Damn,
I don't
the
know.
special effects in the '70s were no joke. Then with the exoskeleton
Didn't Alien, the first Alien, come out?
Yeah, that
in the
was
late
like 79.
'70s,
Yeah, 78, 79.
See,
'78.
and the first Terminator was right along the same group. So don't.
Nah, dude, first Terminator had better special effects than first one.
Predators. Do you guys remember Predators?
Let's not go there.
Ghostbusters Afterlife and Tron Legacy was kind of the group. Oh, and Episode 1 and Episode
Yeah, I
7.
have
Those are
mixed
kind of.
feelings. I'm such a huge Tron fan, and I have mixed feelings about Legacy. So, but and
Yeah.
then now I've got even more mixed feelings because Jared Leto's supposed to be signed up for the Tron 3, and I'm like,
Well, Jared Leto was the problem in 2049 too. Was Blade Runner
oh,
2049.
okay,
He's a problem in Morbius. He's a problem in the Joker.
he's
Dude,
just
he's
a
a
problem,
problem.
man. Yeah, can we just
Yeah.
send that guy to North Carolina with Kelly McGillis and be done with it?
Don't torture that man.
Wow.
All right. So I'm just gonna
Sorry,
ask you:
Kelly.
do you guys have a favorite one of these? Is this you think where does it
Man, I'm going to
land
end this
for
conversation
you?
real quick from my point of view. As a
Uh-huh.
Jedi, from my point of view, um, this was the best one of those sequels because I don't count The Godfather, which was a couple years apart. I don't count.
No, I
I
think it's
mean,
got to be at least 10 years, if not more.
yeah, Tron Legacy is probably the closest. And although I
Yeah,
like the special effects in that movie, I
That was
didn't
a
like the
terrible
movie
Jeff
plot.
Bridges
Yeah.
when they were trying to
So
de-age Jeff
this
Bridges.
right now is top spot. Top spot
Top Gun.
mm.
All right.
Yeah, I think I
for
might have to
me.
agree because I can't think of another one that's better right now. So
Yeah, I
I feel
really
like I probably didn't see most of those sequels that you've named.
did. You not see Creed with
Michael
Creed
B.
is not
Jordan.
fair, dude. Creed is not fair because Michael B. Jordan becomes the protagonist in the movie, and Rocky's more like the Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but
Whereas
it doesn't matter. It's not
but
about
Maverick
it
is still
being
the
about the
main guy. Yeah, that's unfair. That's unfair because I do
it's a
love Creed.
continuation of the story, so it's a
Then I
just
might have to put
gap.
1A and 1B that then.
Okay.
1A,
Yeah,
1B. And I'm going to have to put Creed as 1A and Top Gun Maverick as 1B.
I think Mad Max Fury Road is still so good.
But that one, there's nobody returning from that character. Everybody's brand new casted.
It
Mad
Yeah,
Max is
it's
not the
new
same.
it's new
yeah,
casted, but it is the same character. But I
yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
agree
not the same.
because
I don't
it's
think that's
new.
the same. I don't think
dude,
it qualifies because
exactly. Tom Cruise and Sylvester Stallone both came back for their roles, so that's not
Right.
the same. If
Uh,
freaking what's his name,
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson came back, then yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think we want to see
no,
Mel
fuck that
Gibson.
guy. You could send that guy to North Carolina too.
Damn, why are you
Which is
hating on
terrible.
Kelly McGillis? Like you keep sending her terrible people.
Sorry, Kelly.
It's terrible because he's in one of my favorite movies of all time, so it's hard.
Yeah, that's another
Braveheart.
guy. I'll watch Lethal Weapon and go,
Dude, it's like Clint Eastwood. I used to love him before the whole politics thing happened.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
he needs to stop talking to empty
So
chairs.
if I can't use Mad Max Fury Road, then this is definitely my number one. And I actually really loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. I thought it was a great way to go that wasn't just, hey, this is an old guy and he's got to teach these kids. It was new characters, and then old people exist, and we saw them, so they came back for their roles.
Like
It's in the same universe,
Creed did it pretty
but
good too, Chris. Creed did a
right,
pretty
yeah.
good like Easter egg nostalgia, new character, new life, new struggles. Yeah.
I just want to say two things. I feel like we're about to kind of give grades and start wrapping up. So I just want to say two things that struck me about this movie. One was that I really liked the fact that the beef between Rooster and Maverick was not that like he thought Maverick killed his dad or like blamed him for that, right? Because I thought that like that just would
Good
have
point.
like
Good
ruined
point.
it for me,
Yeah.
right? For
Yeah, I was
whatever
sure that was going
reason.
to be it. Yeah.
He washed him out of the
Yeah,
academy.
right. But it was that he locked him out of the academy and because he felt like he wasn't ready. So
Well, it wasn't just
which
that. I
feels like
also
a very
hang on before you
what?
move on. It was because the mom said, "I don't want him to join the military," and I thought that was very noble of him to take the
But Rooster
fall.
didn't know that part. He didn't
Right,
know
that's what I'm
that part.
saying.
So
Tom
Right.
Cruise took the fall for that when it was the mom that
Right.
didn't want him to join. Right.
they
So
couldn't bring back Meg Ryan for that scene. Oh, she died. Never mind. She died off
yeah,
screen.
she died of cancer. Right.
All right. What's your number two, Brooks?
Right, but see, I liked that, and I felt like that really added like I don't know that added like more substance to the character. My number two thing was, and I've seen this online as well, is going back and watching the first movie. And it's kind of like in the Karate Kid, right, where there's a whole narrative that it's like is is uh, is that Maverick actually kind of like the bad guy in the movie? Is he because right we think of him as like the hero of the movie, the good guy, the one that everyone wants to be. But when you go back and you watch the movie, um, it's like actually is he like he's really just like the dangerous one and the one that's
Causing
going
problems.
against
Yeah.
everybody that's causing problems, right? So it's like this narrative of like that you I never thought of, but once I watched the movie, I was like, huh, interesting. And I don't, probably because I'm like older and wiser and all of that stuff. But you go back and you watch the movie and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Actually, Maverick was kind of the like antagonist
Iceman
of
was right.
the movie. Right. Iceman
Interesting.
was right.
Interesting.
Exactly.
American exceptionalism.
Yeah.
Maverick
Yeah.
exceptionalism.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
By
why
the
don't
way,
you
before
go
we get
ahead?
to
Two things I wanted
grades,
to call out.
I just want to say one of the funniest things in the movie, and it took Serena because we sat kind of me, Eric, and Serena, and she reached out and slapped my leg at the scene for the dog fight football scene. Because on our way there, we were talking about homoeroticism that exists in the first movie, and her and I were kind of talking about it. And she goes, "I wonder if they're gonna do 2022, they're gonna do something similar to that." And then that scene comes on, and the two guys in jeans jump up. She looked at me and slapped me in my leg. She was, "Dad, they're doing it." And Eric was like, "What the hell are they talking about?" And I was like, "That is hilarious." That was the funniest moment in the movie for me. I had to say that because in case she's watching this video.
All right, why don't we go ahead and do grades? I'll let Brooks go first.
Okay.
And any last thought you
So,
have?
yeah. Well, I purposely did not give my grade because I feel like I always am the one that like goes against everybody. Yeah. I will say that this was definitely one of my favorite movies I've ever watched. Best sequel, hands down, and and I bawled at the end of the movie, like literally boohoo tears, crying. My boyfriend was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I held back crying probably like 6 or 7 times. Like I was like, okay, get it together, get it together. There was because there was just like so many different scenes where it was either the nostalgia of it or I was like, someone could die, like Rooster could die, something's gonna happen that I just like wanted to cry. And finally at the end, I was like, I'm just gonna let it out and cry. So A plus plus plus.
That
All
is
right.
Fast
Sure
and
to add all
Furious
those
level of
pluses.
grades for her.
It is. It definitely is.
All right, Mike.
Yeah. So this movie, D for Doodle. No, that's right. No, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Go see it if see it on the big screen for one if you can, because you have to experience that. Yeah, yeah. Um, Great story, great action, well produced. This is going to be my first A plus of the year.
Damn.
All
Let's see where
right,
this is going.
James.
I don't quite have the A triple pluses as Brooks, but I am with Mike on the A plus. I'm giving this an A plus. This is probably my first A plus movie since Endgame. If I go back and look at all my grades, I think Avengers Endgame was the last A plus I gave out. Yeah, man, A plus. I'm gonna see this again, probably a couple more times. I'm gonna drag Keith when he recovers. I'm gonna take him to see the movie, and then probably take some more folks to
Yeah,
see
we
it.
we got to get his grade here.
Yeah, so that's my mission. That is the mission.
All right, I wanted to call out Charles Purnell and Ed Harris for their very tiny roles,
Yes.
but just like especially Ed Harris, like
Hey, John
his
Hamm did a great job too, by the way.
John
Eh,
Hamm.
I
No,
don't
Yeah,
know. He did
I
I
thought
like
okay.
John.
he was good as the,
He
your ego,
yeah,
your ego's writing
That was
checks.
a hard ass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I loved like when Ed Harris came on the screen and he's just like that commander. He's like,
Yo, he
why haven't
oozes
you?
military
He
rank.
does, and it's
Oozes
funny
it.
because he's from like I remember him in The Rock where he's also the military
exactly.
guy, but he's going
Stand
into.
Delay that
down,
order. Stand down
stand
that order.
down.
I love Ed Harris so much.
Yeah,
But also Charles Spinell did some good work in this, being the kind of to John Hamm's hard ass. He was kind of that the voice of reason in the room kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
just a quick
Good
FYI.
shout
Charles
out. Good shout out.
Parnell's first IMDb credit is from 2000. His acting
really
credit.
Good.
Yeah.
He's been acting that far.
interesting. Wow, relatively new.
So yeah, he's
Wow.
pretty new in the industry.
Mhm.
So what's your
Um,
credit, dude? What's your credit? A grade
my
credit. What's your credit?
grade is A plus. A plus.
A
A
Clean
plus is
plus.
sweep,
all
A
around.
plus.
sweep across the board.
And I'm telling you, when Tom Cruise whispered "Talk to me, Goose,"
Yeah,
it hit me
Oh,
every
Yeah, it
time.
hit me, dude. It hit me
yeah.
too.
I had tears. I was like,
that was
"Oh!"
another time I was crying.
And you know when he got in and Rooster gets into the back of that F-14, I was like, "If you say it, I'm gonna die." But he never said. He never called him Goose. I thought for sure he was
Yeah.
gonna
He would have a
accidentally
slip
call him
up.
Goose. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he didn't. So it kept me in check. It kept my.
Dude, when I thought that Tom Cruise was gonna sacrifice himself for Rooster, because
Hmm.
Oh,
everything leading up to that was like his final goodbye. It's like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Never say your retirement thing. And I'm like, oh my god, they were telling me, like, I looked at the screen, I was like, oh, he's gonna bite it. He's gonna bite it. And
and
then
then he
that
took it.
happens. I thought
Oh,
he was gone for sure. And that Rooster's
Great,
gonna have to
great
show
line in
some
the
of his
movie.
best dogfighting.
Great line at the end when Miles Teller finds it, when he finds Miles Teller in the enemy forest, and he goes, "What were you thinking?" And you told me not to think.
not the
Not to
thing.
think.
That was funny.
There were
Yeah,
Unintentional
great,
comedy.
yeah,
the great targeted lines that create the comedy, rather,
yeah.
that worked out really well. All right, well that is our second straight A
Oh.
review of the year. So Severance was our TV straight A review. This is a
Mhm.
straight A plus review of our first movie. It is definitely the best movie of the year to me. So wow, this 2022. Who knew this was going to be such a wild, amazing year?
Yeah, so far I'm gonna say I'm giving a hint to Stranger Things. So far, so good. So
I watched one episode and it was amazing.
yeah, I
Oh
watched
yeah,
the
it's
first
good.
two so
It's
far.
good.
Yeah,
Stranger Things good. Stranger Things is very good. So I'm hoping Thor Ragnarok continues the movie trend. Probably not, but
Ragnarok.
We've
Oh, Love and
a
Thunder.
great
Got it.
variety
Oh,
this
Love
year.
and Thunder. My
Yeah,
bad. Love and Thunder comes out in
Yeah, no,
July next month.
yeah,
that's right.
great variety this year. Great variety of movies that we've had. So I don't feel like I don't. I love Marvel. I love the MCU, but I having other things too that are making me enjoy watching the movies has been great.
Here, 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 here.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this A plus episode of the Heroes Peak.
Hope you're saluting your right hand, Brooks. There you go.
Oh
Hey,
no, she's lost the design.
Yeah,
Flat.
we'll teach her another time.
and don't forget to follow us on all the social medias at Heroes Peak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
And James is starting an OnlyFans too.
What? Don't start that rumor.
Yeah, don't forget to
Man.
like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Let us know if you've seen
Please leave comments.
Maverick,
Do not text. Leave a
and let
comment.
us know what you think of the
It goes
movie.
a long way. It goes a long way.
Yeah, I'm
Please.
trying to figure out my top 5 movies of the year. Number 5 is because I don't want to give it to Northman. I don't know why. I'm refusing to give
Because it's the
Northman
Jesus.
worst movie
I
ever
my
still have
made.
top
yet to watch
5.
that
Never.
movie on Keith and
Spare
Brooks's
yourself. Never watch it.
So I'm
recommendations.
gonna go through. I have to go through and finish my list of all the movies I watched this year so I can give my top 5 because, so far, Top Gun, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Batman, and Doctor Strange. Just because of it, I thought it was a lot of fun,
It's 4 movies.
but
All right.
I don't really want to give it. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next week.
Night.
Salute. Dress straight dress. Man.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.